So I have my rat pedal. I also have the vintage rat pedal, which is a little bigger than this, and I got this because the vintage rat pedal is kind of key to my sound, and it uses a certain piece of hardware in there, and when it broke once, I had to get it repaired. I was kind of lost, so I bought this as a backup. It doesn't sound exactly the same, and you can check out the difference on a video I did where I actually A-B'd both of those together. So having two rat pedals, do I really need a third one? Well, I kind of don't, but I saw this in the store. This is the Lil Rat, very much smaller than the Rat, and smaller again than the vintage Rat. It's pretty tiny. It fits right in the palm of your hand, and I think, you know, sucker that I am, that's a big reason why I wanted to get it, because it's just so small. I was like, really, can this thing possibly be that good? But in terms of saving space on your pedal board, that's pretty compelling. The smaller the pedals, if they do the same thing and they're easy to operate, then you save a lot of real estate, because some of the pedals are just massive. The loop station from Boss is pretty big. My space station pedal is huge. And some of the electro-harmonics pedals, like the Cathedral, are pretty big too. So having something very small is pretty compelling. I wanted to check it out. It was about $70. It wasn't a whole lot. I always get the warranty with these, so that hiked the cost a little bit, but it's just so cute looking. It's really small. Well, is it any good is the question, and I tried it alongside the other two to just ABC test and So having checked them out, all three pedals, these are the two I got in my hand right here. The vintage one, it's tied to the board, so I just didn't take it off the board. But having tried them out, I think it's pretty cool. I like it. It's small, it's cute, fits in the palm of your hand. That's pretty awesome. But you know, it doesn't actually take a 9-volt battery. This one and the vintage, you can unscrew the back panel and put a 9-volt battery in, which makes it portable. So when I go play, for example, busking in the park with my friend Justin, I just bring this and a chorus pedal, and I don't need to plug that in because they both take batteries, so that's pretty cool and portable. This is even smaller, so you'd think even more portable, but it only takes a power supply. So you do need to run it off a power supply, which makes it actually less portable. So kind of a downside there. I also noticed a fair bit of buzz and noise coming off it. It's just a little noisy and buzzy, and when I kind of touched the outer casing, the buzz kind of changed or diminished. And adjusting some of the settings, distortion and filter, the kind of phasing kind of sound happened too. It feels a little noisy. The distortion actually also isn't exactly the same sound as the Rat, the ProCo Rat or the vintage Rat. It's a little bit different. It's a cool distortion sound. It's really heavy and searing and grungy, with the distortion kind of turned fairly high up and the filter fairly low. So I have the distortion at about 3 o'clock and the filter at 9, the volume at 9. That works really well. It's a great sound. Playing with the filter and the distortion, bringing the distortion levels down a little bit, I didn't feel like it gave me a great sound that I would want to play with a whole lot. So this felt a bit more limited in terms of how cool some of the other settings and some of the other mixes sounded. So I wasn't as impressed. So I still feel like the vintage reissue Rat is just better than all of the other Rats, but I do enjoy how I can bring this one around. It's not on my board, so I don't have to unplug the whole thing. It has a battery in it already, and it's a little smaller than the vintage, and it's a little less rare for me, so cool to bring this around. This guy, not as portable, not as cool sounding, but I did kind of enjoy it. It's fairly cheap. So definitely an option. If I want to take a stripped down board to a gig where I'm playing where there is a power supply, this is an option where it's not going to take as much room. The other thing that was a bit of a drawback is some of these other Rats, you know, they have this, what I think is a glow-in-the-dark treatment to the levels. So you can see the level that you are actually setting the different knobs to. This one, there's no such thing. It's just an indentation, which makes it very hard to see what setting and what level you've got it on. So you probably need to have a little bit of a flashlight or lean down to the board. It just makes it a bit harder to see what you're doing here. So it's a little less flexible for adjusting on the fly or glancing at it and knowing roughly what you've got going on. So those are some drawbacks. Bit noisier, can't really see the levels you've got quite as good. Isn't as portable as the other ones because you need the power supply. The sound isn't quite identical. So for those 4 reasons, would you rush out and get one of these instead of spending money on maybe a different distortion pedal? Yeah, you probably want to consider a different distortion pedal, but I don't necessarily regret buying it because it's just so awesome and cool looking because it's so small. That's kind of foolish, but there you go. We don't always buy guitar equipment because we're making the wisest decisions, frankly. In fact, if you made the wisest decision from a purely pragmatic, practical sense, you probably wouldn't even be a musician in the first place. And with that, if you like what you see on the channel, do hit the like button, hit subscribe, and push the bell icon so you're notified when I post new content. And I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you.